Give me 1 second. And I'm going to give it a second to let the people get in here. So, oops. Oh no, what am I doing here? Alright, we're good. We're good. No, we're not. Shoot. Hang on. There we go. Here we go. Alright, we should be good. What's up, Truth? How you doing, man? I'm gonna let a couple more people get in here before we start kicking it up and before I introduce our guest tonight. Why does it keep doing this? Alright, minimize that. What's up, Plowman? Don't you have a auction going on tonight, brother? Thought you had an auction going on. What's up, Zombie? I'm gonna give it just a minute or two. We're just gonna kind of sit here like we don't know really what's going on or what we're really doing, just so we can get a couple more bodies in here before I start the introductions and before we start really diving into this. So, okay, 5:30ish. Oh yeah, that's right. You're California time, so it's a couple hours. All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, I guess we're just going to start right in and we're going to dive in. So, I have a guest on, a special guest actually joining us tonight on the show. And this is actually not only a special guest, not only an OG, but also the first official guest of the show tonight. So, give it up for my man, Tyler Murphy. Tyler, how you doing tonight, brother?
Hey man, how's it going? How are you?
I'm all right, man. Couldn't be any better here. Join with you with your presence, the OG presence in the game. Joining my first official in depth with Defness, man. So, how's everything going? You want to tell
Good,
us a little
man.
bit about yourself, like kind of introduce yourself a little bit?
Yeah, for those that don't know, I'm Tyler. Hey, it's Teamwork on Twitter. Um, been collecting for a long time and been buds with my guy Jeff for a year and a half, 2 years now.
Oh
So
yeah.
uh, it's been really cool getting to know him and getting tight and getting to know everybody on social media. So yeah, I mean that's really it. Until we jump right into it.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, I guess I can just go right from there. So, I guess let me just start off with you being a part of the hobby and in the hobby, deep in the hobby actually, as far as I'm concerned. So where did it actually all start, Tyler?
Oh man, I've been collecting going on 25 years now. I think 30 now, and I remember my first pack of baseball cards was just a pack of Topps baseball, and ripped it open, and it was magic. And so ever since then, ripping packs have been magic for me.
Right.
Um, so that's where it started, and it continued with my brother. We would open packs together all the time, and that bond that really kept us tight growing up, and that bond still continues today.
So you say where you grew up. Where exactly did you grow up, Tyler?
I grew up in a small town in it's called McCall, South Carolina. Two stoplights, a billion churches, one place to eat, and so there was actually a baseball card shop right outside of town. Not even a 3 minute drive because everywhere is close in a small town, and that's where we get our stuff. So yeah, less than 3,000 now. I think we're right around 2,600 people. So
Wow.
it's
Wow.
a very tiny place.
Wow. That's small. And how many you have any brothers and sisters?
So I'm the oldest. I have one brother and one sister. He's in the hobby. He's on Twitter a little bit, but not as much as he should be.
Right.
He still collects. He's an investigator with the county, and my sister is actually a chef. So yeah,
Don't mess with the
we're very good.
Murphys. Don't mess with the Murphys, man. They
Yeah.
they roll deep. They roll deep.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you a little bit, like, so you talk about your brother, you talk about your sister. Your brother, you said he's a little bit in the hobby, like back in the days, in the childhood days, I guess you would say. our young days. Now we're OGs, we're old OGs these days, but back in those days, was there anything special or anything you guys did? Was sports cards, was the hobby kind of a bonding experience? What did you guys do? Was there anything that kind of kept you guys maybe out of trouble with the sports cards or with the hobby in general?
So yeah, so it all stemmed from our love of sports. So from a very young age, in T-ball, he was number three, and they called him Babe Ruth, and so and they called me Johnny Bench. I don't know why. I never played catcher, but it really like sparked an interest in older players, and so when we started collecting and we started getting older players, and I really wish I had those cards today. I don't anymore.
Right.
But with that love of sports and the love of sports cards, we developed this game where we would draft. It would be like a Pokemon deck. It would be sports baseball cards, and we put out our best lineup and then argue for hours over whose lineup was the best. And Sean Dunston comes to mind as a guy that I was always starting at shortstop because he was a guy I had 10 cards of, and Ken Caminiti was my third baseman because the power. But it was just argument after argument. But they were productive arguments because we were learning together. We were learning the game together. We were collecting together. We were growing, our bond together over sports cards and over sports in general. And I really do believe that's why we have the relationship we do today. Well, I can call him best friend. That's my best friend. And so we do everything together now. And that includes still opening cards today.
Sure. So, was there ever, I guess, within the hobby, have you ever had any actual like jobs per se that would be hobby related? Like, have you ever done anything, worked any kind of card shows, done anything of that nature?
Yeah, so this is a cool story. I lived in Connecticut for 6 months, West Haven, Connecticut for 6 months. And my guy that I came in contact with, we were in the mall, and his name was Ed Rashawn, not to be confused with Ed Sheeran. He was Ed Rashawn, and he had a little sports card shop called Spare Room Sports Cards. It was right in the corner. There was an autographed memorabilia shop right beside it. This was 2002. No, excuse me, this was 2000. This was the year 2000. And right beside Macy's or a Dilliard's. And the guy, we were just staying there for hours. And one day the guy was like, "Hey, would you want to help out?" And my brother and I were like, "Sure." He's like, "Well, if you could just make sure nobody steals stuff, I'll pay you on packs of cards every day." And so for 4 months, we were there every afternoon, every Saturday. We lived in that card shop and amassed a crazy amount of stuff. And one of the things I regret a little is that I wanted to get paid in Pokemon cards. It was the fad, and my brother was like, "Oh, that's the dumbest thing ever. Let me get these Yankee Legends cards." Even as a Red Sox fan, he was like, "Yankee Legends cards," because there was a set that came out, and Merrick was a chase, and Mantle was a chase. And I remember the day before he closed up for Christmas week, he was going on vacation. He gave us a case of the Yankees Greats boxes, and we hit not a Mantle, excuse me, we hit a Maris bat relic, and that was the epitome of my collecting career, as you would say. Up until then, that was the greatest thing ever. Roger Maris, 61 had just come out. So Barry Pepper was on top of the world with the whole Maris thing. And to hit that bat relic, and before we moved back, we actually gave him all those Yankee hits that we had gotten, just as an appreciation for everything that he had done for us, that he helped us grow in our love for a hobby that we had already loved so much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the only foray into the hobby that I've done my career or job wise.
So I wanna kind of segue actually into, you kind of talked about basically giving these cards back as like a thank you or as like a gift, right? I know you're heavy when it comes in the rack game, and if people don't know what rack is, it's basically random act of kindness, right? Some of you guys have been involved. You've been involved with the ones that I've been involved in, but Tyler's kind of one of those guys that's probably on the higher end scale of involvement in racks per se. What do racks to you? What do racks mean? I guess is what I'm trying to ask you.
I think more than anything, and I'll spare you the details on most. I know this is in depth with Defness, but I'll give you a little story. When we were children, we lived with my grandmother for quite a number of years, and for Christmas one year, I remember barely getting anything, and the things I do remember getting was a piece of fruit, um, a walnut,
Uh-huh.
and a quarter. And I think I got like socks and underwear. And that was it for Christmas. And for an 8 or 9 year old to get that for Christmas, it does something to you. You can go two ways with it. You can be super unappreciative that you didn't get what the world says you could have gotten. You didn't
Right.
get the Legos or the new monster truck or whatever it was, or you could have gone the other way. And my grandmother taught me a great lesson. She said, "It's all I could give you. This is all I could do for you, but it's a quarter. And if you do something good with this quarter, you'll see more good come out of it." And so, being the church boy I am, I put in an offering plate on Sunday, and I didn't miss it. And I realized that it was going to something greater than anything I could have done with it. And so I carried that attitude with me, and it's been my attitude for in my mindset for 23 years now. From that up until today, it's been, yes, I have it. Yes, I can have more. But if I give more, there's a greater reward for me, and that reward is the smile on somebody's face, or tears if you're that person that cries, or just the satisfaction of knowing that you did good for someone.
Uh-huh.
It means everything to me. And so I don't say these things to gloat or anything like that. But a couple of years ago, a good buddy of mine was going through a cancer scare, and so I was like, what can I do? What can I do to make his life better? And I mean, it's cancer. What can you do to make a cancer scare better? And I was like, I've got an Aaron Rodgers autograph. Yeah, it's a 1-on-1. Yeah, it's a couple $100, but he would enjoy that so much more than me, and that'll bring a little bit of light into his darkness. And a couple months back, there was a guy that I didn't even know. I wasn't following on Twitter or anything, and somebody reached out to me and said, this guy absolutely loves this guy. This is his personal collection. And I was like, what's his address? And it's that easy for me to give things away. It's not me being braggadocious right now, but it's so easy for me to give because I know what it's like to not have, and I know what it's like to want, and I know what it's like to covet things that, at the end of the day don't really mean anything,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a brief, but it means a lot to someone else. And so, and I know how it feels too. I know the reciprocal because you guys gave me a Michael Jordan autograph. So um, I've felt that, but I do not give for a return. My giving is the return, and I truly mean that. And so I encourage everybody, if you don't participate in RAC, I jump on in, and your $2, $3 are going to mean the world to somebody, at least for a day, and you'll make a huge difference. There's my sermon or my preaching moment I'm giving.
No, man, that was good, man. I like it. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get some in-depth information from you. We're trying to get to learn you more. And there's a couple things I want to cue off real quick. One being you talking about, your grandmother and not being able to give you a lot, and how that kind of evolved your ability of wanting to give. And I guess I want everybody watching this to understand kind of what you said in the fact that when you do these, when you get involved with these racks, again, you should never be expecting anything in return. You're ultimately doing this to try to brighten someone else's day, to try to make someone else's day, week, month, year, whatever it might be, greater or better. People that are in tough spots, tough situations, people that, really can't maybe afford to get a card that they want so bad in their collection, and ultimately maybe they could actually go out and buy that card, but at the end of the day, if they did, they may not be able to pay their rent for the month. They may put themselves in a bad spot, so they're not going to go out and do things like that. But I think I, as well as Tyler, would encourage anybody and everybody, yeah, like he said, $2, $3, $5, whatever it is, go out there and get involved in racks. And you don't have to get in every single one. You don't have to be involved in everyone that everyone's doing. It can be somebody that you know. Ultimately, the best feeling for me, honestly, when I've gotten into racks is when people are looking for people for racks, and I don't even know who it is for, and I don't even know the person. And I think it's so cool when somebody receives a rack and there's a name on it that they're looking at the names and they may not even know the name. And they're like, "Oh, this is so cool. This person like went in on this thing, knows nothing about me and decided to contribute for something, to get for me." I think that's one of the coolest things. And I know you yourself as an individual, it doesn't matter really the person. It doesn't matter who it is. We're not looking to see whose name this rack is for. We're ultimately just jumping in when we can to help out and make somebody's day greater. So, man, I wanna give you a huge shout out because I know you are. I brought up the whole rack thing because I know you are deep in the rack game when it comes to the hobby, and that alone right there, it's not about how much money someone spends or someone gives, but it's about the unselfishness. And the unselfishness in somebody shows the kind of character of a person. So, again, man, I know you're one of the more unselfish guys out there. Obviously, the story you've already told us, we're not even that far into this yet, about how you grew up, and that kind of molded that with you. So, again, man, just shout out for that. Let's get into a little bit. So, um, what as far as teams goes, like people who don't know who Tyler Murphy is, what are you? What are the teams that you're a huge fan of? Who do you root for? Who do you collect? Who are your big guys, players? Just dive on in, brother.
So my teams are if you hear that in the background, it's my wonderful 2-year-old who decided that he was going to start talking these last 2 weeks, and it's wonderful. I love it. So
Yeah.
enjoy that background noise if you hear it. But my teams, I love the Atlanta Braves. Love the San Francisco 49ers and the Chicago Bulls. So if you didn't know, I grew up in the 90s and I enjoyed winters in the 90s. So there's been quite a drought for all of us. We did just enjoy a Super Bowl run without the win at the end. But I feel it coming with my Niners and with my Braves. The Bulls got a long way to go. I collect some Tar Heels. Andrew Jones is my main PC. He's my favorite baseball player of all time. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't need any comments saying otherwise. But I just enjoy collecting. My wife's recently got herself in the game, and she's started to enjoy collecting and ripping packs, and she's going to break me. But we're gonna enjoy being broke together, and we're gonna have fun doing it. So those are my teams: Braves, Niners, Bulls, unfortunately, and the Tar Heels.
So you said your wife currently got in the game. So is she pulling more of the Zions when you're ripping basketball, or is it you that are pulling more of the Zions?
Besides the hoops autograph back in November, she's pulled every Zion, and that's a silver, an orange cracked ice, um, Donruss, optic, base prism. It's all been her. I haven't pulled one Zion since that autograph I pulled in November.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. Get her to the casino or something, man. She's definitely your good luck charm. That's for sure.
yeah.
Well, she is your good luck charm if she's sharing those Zions. Now, if she's keeping them for herself, that's going to be a little different story. All right. So we got the teams. I kind of want to dive in. I know you have some other hobbies. I know you have some other interests. I know I think well, what is another big hobby passion of yours?
Music. Music's my big passion, probably more than the hobby, if you believe it or not. I lead worship at my church. I lead worship at different conferences around the area. I've I've led worship for 12 years now. I write. I can't play any instruments. I wish I could, but I can't. So I write and sing for the time being until I get enough patience to learn how to play a guitar or something. But I absolutely love singing. I've posted a couple videos of me on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
Not to show off or anything, but it just kind of people kind of asked or doubted me. So I was like, here's a little proof it to you. But yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. It's been part of me for as long as collecting has, but it's it's my getaway. It's my getaway. It's my escape.
So besides maybe you calling yourself your own favorite artist, who would be Tyler Murphy's favorite artist? Maybe what's a
my
favorite song of yours too?
my favorite artist. So tons of influences. Going back to the Beatles, love the Beatles. George Harrison was my favorite Beatle. He had the best voice and the best lyrics. I listen to everything. Stapleton, Brothers Osborne, Starset. That's like a heavy metal group. Skillet, heavy, kind of heavyish rock group. Love Hillsong Worship, Bethel Music, Elevation, Kanye West, Post Malone. I'm a fan of it all. And I just appreciate the art of music, and I appreciate anybody that puts themselves out there the way that artists do, because you put yourself in a very vulnerable position as an artist when you put your feelings out there for the world or a community or just a group of people to judge you. So I got mad respect for all of them.
So I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. Would you like to give us a little sample of those singing skills?
I can't do it. I can't do it.
Oh man, I thought maybe we'd get a moment here. All right. So you talked a little bit about too about you being a worship leader. What do you what else are you doing? What are you doing? What do you do during the daytime, or what do you got going on during the day, like when you're not in church, or when you're not, when you don't got other things going on, when you're not on Twitter tweeting, getting involved in racks, ripping packs? What else are you involved in? Are you working somewhere else, or what exactly? What does that look like with Tyler?
A normal day in the life for me is get up before it gets light out. So I guess now, well, it doesn't really count now because of daylight savings time. But I'm up, full time job. I work at a company called Scheffler Group USA. They do roller bearings. I work in the tool center, and I'm on my way to being the quality manager there. And then I go home and I'm a full-time student on top of being a full-time employee. And going back to school to get my bachelor's in business administration at IWU, Indiana Wesleyan University. It's all online. And all while being a full-time dad, and on Wednesday nights being a youth pastor or youth leader. And then trying to maintain relationships with everybody on Twitter and in my area. And so part-time extracurricular worship leader, where we have a group that meets every now and then and does music together. So I try to keep my schedule as full as I possibly can. And I'm tired, very tired, but I love it. I wouldn't change it for anything.
Well, shout out you, man. So I know you got an army yourself. I don't know if we ever actually touched on it earlier yet or not, but you said full time dad. How many kids you got right now?
Got three boys,
Okay.
10, 6, and 1. He'll be 2 in May.
Okay. Well, you're right there with me, man. I got four myself. Unfortunately,
Mm,
all mine are on the older scale. I think my youngest has got your oldest by maybe a couple years, but yeah, I've been through it all the same time years, everything. So if there was one thing that's not, I mean, I'm not talking like death or somebody killing you or losing a child or anything like that. What is, if there's one thing out there, is there something that absolutely terrifies you? And I don't want to put it in the spectrum of any type of death or a family death, like having a
gotcha.
fear of that. Like something more on just a spectrum of like, some people are afraid of death of spiders. Some people are
Yeah.
afraid, whatever. Is there something out there that we would absolutely terrify T Murph if we brought it around him or we showed him or we shocked him with it, whatever?
Yeah, so Another funny story, and people don't believe this is a real thing. And the answer is styrofoam. Um, and I think it's the sound of it more than anything, but even the feel of it, it freaks me out. And some people have been made aware of that in the hobby community and think it's funny to send 2 or 3 pieces of styrofoam with the packages that they send me, and they get a good kick out of it. But I'm on to them, so I know um, when I see a package from them, that I'm not the one that opens it anymore. Somebody else opens it for me. I cannot do styrofoam. Uh, just this Friday, my oldest son Brady, he unbeknownst to him, he got a piece of styrofoam and he was just like rubbing it, and it was like right in my ear, and I freaked out. I jumped out of the chair. I'm like, Brady, you gotta stop! You gotta stop! I cannot do that. So it's styrofoam. I'm not afraid of monsters. Never have been. Not afraid of the dark. Never will be. A little piece of pink packing peanuts freak me out. I can't do it. So that's it. Now you know.
We all have our little fears, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Heights is kind of my thing, you know. I don't mind flying. I've flown many times. I think it's a thing of being in a big airplane, but man, you get me up on roller coasters or something else, and I'm terrified, man. I try to stay away and try to stay off them. Even if I get like a couple stories up, like we go to the Mall of America, if we're on like the third or fourth floor, you'll always see me walking like where there's on the sides. You always see me walking closest to the far wall, like not anywhere by the railings. And like when I see people by the railings, it just kind of makes me, I don't know, I get a little wooey, like, oh, you're gonna fall, or the railing's gonna break, or something bad's gonna happen. Just stay away. Like it just freaks me out. So, all right, Tyler. Well, let's dive in here. I want to talk a little bit about. I always like to get everybody's perspective on like product wise, retail versus hobby boxes. So our retail, our hanger boxes, our blasters, the cello value packs versus hobby boxes. What's your take on, do you do a little bit of both like I do, or what's your take with the whole with the whole with the whole I guess just buying hobby product, or
Yeah.
retail?
I do both. I'm more retail than hobby, just because the the we're limited around here, small town. So our closest hobby shop's about an hour away, which isn't too bad considering. Um, we're doing. I told a guy at a card shop last Thursday, we're doing our world tour of card shops. So anything within a 2 hour radius of us, we're visiting, and we're just trying to develop relationships with people in the area with card shop owners in the area. And I'm nobody, but I'm always willing to help. Like when it comes to being a social media presence, or getting your stuff out there, or selling your stuff, and just trying to help out. So we've been buying a little more hobby lately, but honestly, most of our stuff comes from retail. And, all our Zions have come from retail. Any silvers, obviously, have come from retail. You don't have to spend big to make big, and you don't have to spend big to have big fun. And so, when we have a $20 blaster of Prism, and Ashley gets 2 packs in the bonus pack, and I get the other 3 packs, like that's big fun for us. Being able to just read off names and get excited about rookies, or her get excited about pulling a Giannis or Chris Middleton because she's a Bucks fan for some reason. And so, you don't have to spend big, have big fun. That's I guess that's a thing. I've said it 3 times already, so obviously it's a thing. But we love hobby too. We love the guarantee. We are a hit oriented hobby now, where autos matter more than anything. And so being able to pull nice autos, and having that guarantee of at least an auto is nice too. So I'm 60-40 on it. Probably 65-35 retail hobby. But hey, do what makes you happy, and do what doesn't put you in a lot of financial hurt. So.
Right. And I think too, like I've talked about this like on some of my live streams, but there's certain retail products that if you can get your hands on them, you really want to for sure, regardless if you're not a fan of retail or not. And a few of those products would be like NBA Prism and
Mm,
optic NBA. I mean, if you can get your hands on those products in retail, if you can find them, blasters, hanger boxes, cello packs, you pretty much want to capitalize, maximize, buy it all if you find it,
yeah,
because you're looking at blasters, cello boxes, hangers, $15-20 versus a hobby box that is $400-500, depending upon where you're buying it from and if you can find it and where it's at. So
right.
I like the take on there. I like where you're going with that. I think for a lot of viewers out there and people that are maybe getting back into the hobby, etc., he hit on a good point, and the point being that you know go where your money takes you, kind of like retail. It's all about the excitement, it's all about the ripping, it's all about the opening the product. Yeah, you're not going to be guaranteed hits necessarily when it comes to retail stuff, but at the same time, it's still the same chase. You can still pull the 101 superfractor out of a retail box. It can be in anything of any player. So the chances are out there. Yeah, I mean, it can happen with any product. So either way, retail, hobby, again, you're going to be guaranteed those hits in hobby, but you're going to be paying usually a lot more. I guess I want to get your take, Tyler, on. I mean, to me, it seems like the hobby is just continuing to boom. It's continuing to grow. Where where do you see the hobby right now? Where do you see the hobby in, say, 5 years from now?
I know that there are a lot of people predicting gloom and doom for the hobby because of overproduction, and we're not going to say his name, but Gary V. Um, uh, I I like him. He's whatever. That's not your question. You the hobby right now is for all the bad things happening. Uh, the trimming scandal is still looming, and the grading scandals are still looming. If those things don't go away, and those things aren't outside of my head, but the growth that I've seen in my years just on Twitter, man, it's kind of mind boggling if you think about it. How when I was on Twitter, I knew of two breakers, two box breakers, um, and that was it. And you can't scroll through your timeline without being pounded to death with ads. And I love all the ads. I support my guys. I'll retweet whoever. But you can't look without a box breaker, and
Mm,
without a breaker's presence. And so you can't tell me that the hobby's in a bad place if there are that many people breaking cards and surviving and thriving in a business that has no business thriving with so many people in one central location doing the same thing. The hobby's in a really good spot, and I'm no business expert yet, but I have common sense, and people are buying, and people are selling, and people are trading, and they weren't doing that 10 years ago. I wasn't doing it 10 years ago. It wasn't a thought. It wasn't one of those things like, when you're a huge wrestling fan, when you're younger, or a comic book fan, and then you become too cool for it. Like, I don't think you're ever too cool for sports cards. It's just something that went away. And now it's back. And I really do think it's a thriving industry. Just as tops who are selling boxes of cards for, tens of thousands of dollars, and people are buying it like crazy. And so in the next 5 years, I don't think much is going to change. I hope to see some innovation. I hope to see licensing get rid of, and I'd love to see Topps football again and Topps basketball again, and I'd love to see Panini's take on baseball with the actual uniform names or the team names. I'd love that. I hate blank jerseys.
mhm.
In 5 years maybe we get that. But I'd also love to see um, companies follow Upper Deck's lead, and Sage. Sage is great at this, and they don't get as much love obviously because they're not a bigger company. But Sage is very very good at giving things away, and not just for a special day. They give stuff away all the time, and Upper Deck gives stuff away all the time. And this isn't me being a moocher. I'd love to see Topps and Panini not just a corporate giveaway where it's like, well, it's National Baseball Day, let's retweet this and went out. I really love to see people appreciate their product and was like, you know what? Here's a thing for you. Here's a random act of kindness. I want people to be blown away that way. Those guys are making enough money. So in 5 years, I see it growing. I still see continuous growth. Hopefully, there's still, barrier breaking players like Zion and Luka, and in football with Lamar and Mahomes, and in baseball with Trout and Acuna and Soto. Hopefully, we still get those players in the next 5 years to where we have something to be excited about every single year. But yeah, 5 years we're gonna be fine. 5 years we're gonna be doing this still. You're still gonna be doing this show, on a grander scale. You won't have to settle for somebody like me as a guest. But great things are gonna happen in this hobby in the next 5 years, and I'm excited to see, be a part of it.
Yeah. So, and you brought up breakers. You brought up breakers scrolling timelines, and I was a breaker about 2 years ago or so, and it's funny. It's funny you actually bring up things that I constantly think about when you talk about breakers, and it's the fact that I kind of stepped away from the break game because I was like, man, it seems like just everybody is a breaker now. Like everybody's breaking now. And it's not a bad thing, but it's like I just didn't want to feel like I was going to have to compete with every single person to try to sell spots and product. But at the end of the day, like, even if I would have continued to break, I would have been fine because you continuously see like you brought up, you continuously see new breakers day after day after day. There's like some new Twitter breaker company that's posting on Twitter, that's just joining Twitter. They're coming from Facebook, they're coming from Instagram. I mean, every single social media platform, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, they all have the same, it seems like the same allotted or same amount of like hobby enthusiasts, and a lot of them are not on each platform. Most of them only side with one. Like we're Twitter heavy, right? So we're heavy in the Twitter game. Like that's where we kind of been because that's where we feel the most comfortable. Maybe that's where we feel it's the best platform. But then there's probably 20 or 100,000 people on Instagram and Facebook that feel the same way, that their platform is the best. And if you think about how many breakers are out there, I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
And right, for people to think that this hobby is just going to like blow up, disappear, and be like a junk wax era all over again, I don't think it's anywhere near close. I mean, there's just so much more. There's so much more, I guess, in the age, with all the different mem stuff, the auto stuff. I mean, all these special cards and things, it continues to drive the hobby, and it continues to drive us as enthusiasts to want to chase it, want to go after it. And you bring up big names like Zions and Ja Morants and Patty Mahomes, and we will continue. I feel we'll continue to have players like this that will want to go after and will want to chase. Or maybe not all of us prefer to chase those certain people, but that's what brings or drives the excitement. Because even if we're not a Zion fan, which if you're not a Zion fan, I think you might be a little crazy. We'll see. We'll see if he can stay, injury prone throughout his career. But the dude's insane. I got to see him live yesterday, and it was insane. But I think we're gonna have these players just continuously coming. We got who's that dude from what college is he at? The big hype dude, the NBA player. Just Winslow or what's his name?
The center for Memphis.
Yeah. So he's gonna be like the next Zion. It seems like every single year we have a name or a player that jumps up in just about every sport, at least one, maybe even a couple. So I think that's not gonna die out. Now I want to bring up an interesting topic, and this may be controversial for some people. I don't know, but you did bring up Gary V, right?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of mixed feelings with Gary V. Like if you're on Twitter, I mean, I think most of us do. Some days I think Twitter's about lit on fire because people's thoughts on Gary V. I assume you 100% support him, and I have no problem or issue with that. Some may think that you're, I don't know, maybe part of a cult or something. If you think he's cool if you think he's good for the hobby, but I mean, let's talk business here. Let's talk about continued excitement. Gary V
Yeah.
is an entrepreneur. Gary V is a needle mover, if you want to call him that per se.
Right.
I my own personal opinion as well is, why does it matter? The guy's gaining more excitement. Yes, you're not going to see me tag Gary V on Twitter. You're not going to see me doing all those things to try to gain his attention. But I'm
Mhm.
not going to hate on him, and I'm not going to say he's not good for the hobby if he's doing things and he's driving more traffic and bringing more people and ultimately more product. What's your ultimate take on Mr. Gary V?
All right, so I before I even knew Gary Vee was getting in the hobby, he was one of my must listens, and he did 10-minute podcasts every day, and it was just inspirational. And so you can tell the guy has a heart for whatever he's doing. He's got a big heart into whatever he's doing. And when he got into sports cards, I was excited because it's like, hey, this is a business guy. This is the reason I'm going back to school. For besides my family, like he was the push, and it's crazy he dropped out of school, but he was the push to go back to school because it was like learn more and grow. And I was like, well, what's the best way to learn and grow? This is the American dream. Go to school, pile up a ton of student loan debt, and then pay it all back until you die. The American dream. Anyway, Gary Vee though. When I met him in Chicago at the National last year, and last year he was getting a lot of hate too for being in Chicago. He had his table. He made himself available for everyone. He made himself available for any question you had. He made himself available for pictures and autographs and this, that, and the other because he's not bigger than the hobby,
Mm-hmm.
but he was the biggest thing in the hobby. And I heard Rex Ryan was there. I met Darren Ravel there. I knew there were athletes there. There's nobody there bigger than Gary Vee. Nobody. Besides, the big time athletes. But that was, he was the guy whose table was always full. That's good for the hobby. That's interaction. That's people talking. People are talking about the hobby now. And, whether you like him or not, and I know a lot of people don't like him, I know he's a divisive figure. His business is his business, and your business is your business, and he doesn't care about your business. Don't care about his business. He's doing what he can do to make money. He's doing what he can do to enjoy himself. He's doing what he can do. This is something that he said plenty of times. He did this as a kid. He collected as a kid. He did card shows as a kid. Like, it's not new to him. It's not a new thing. And so to bash a guy because he's new to you, but not necessarily new to the hobby, just because he has a name. And, Phil Hughes is starting to see it too. That's another one. He sees hate too, which is ridiculous because he's got money, because he's a name, because he's an influencer. We don't like that.
Yeah,
Because I guess,
I
go
think
ahead.
Tyler, I think the big thing is honestly, and I kind of, on the back end, I can kind of feel this way a little bit too. I think for a lot of people, I think it is the money thing. I
Mm-hmm.
don't, and for some people, it may be like a jealousy thing. I'm not gonna say
Okay.
like if I ever have like kind of some weird thing like when you bring up Phil Hughes, like a jealousy thing. I just,
Mm-hmm.
I guess my take on that whole part of it is, if you have like unlimited supply of money, right? And that's
Yeah.
great for the hobby. Like, don't get me wrong. Them buying product, that's awesome for the hobby. Like I said, at the end of the day, I don't have any problem with Gary Vee. I don't have any problem with Phil Hughes. It's
Mm-hmm.
just I think for a lot of people, I think it's hard for them maybe to get as excited about some big pulls that they might hit
Yeah.
because of how much money maybe they're spending, right? So they're going into
Right.
breaks with whoever they break with. Maybe it's Top Sapphire, for instance, and they're just
Yeah.
buying boxes beyond boxes beyond boxes beyond, like they're buying, and that's great for the hobby. Like, again, I'm not saying we'd be reverse economics here if we were saying someone spending money is not good for your business or your hobby. It's not that. I think some people just don't get excited about maybe the cards that are pulling or whatever just because they're like, man, these guys are just throwing tons of money. Like, like their probably thought is, well, if I had unlimited supply of money, then I could probably just, I'd just be buying tons of these boxes too, and I'd be pulling these cards. And maybe that excitement wouldn't be as high or as good because for someone who maybe, struggles maybe to get by each week, and then they go buy a hobby box or a blast or whatever, and they pull some sick 101 or whatever, maybe it seems like the end all is a little bit more sweeter or more, I don't want to take anything away from someone who just because they have a ton of money does it, but I think for some people, and I may be speaking way outside the box. I may not even be on point here with what a lot of people may or how their feelings are with this, but I think maybe that's part of what it is. And again, I have no problem with Gary Vee. I have no problem with Phil Hughes. I just personally, I don't what you call it. I don't just, like I said, you won't see me tagging them and everything, and you won't see me liking everything that they're doing or whatever. It's just, and I'm not hating on it though. It's just again, on some things I just don't get it. I think it's awesome for the hobby. I just don't get as excited for it because I know that they can just continuously buy. Like they could buy cases beyond cases beyond cases of product. And if me or you could get cases beyond cases of product, we could sit there too and we could pull a bunch of these crazy, nasty cards over and over and over again. You know what I mean? So maybe that's where a little bit of that's gone. I don't know.
I think to a person, we have to remember that, and I'm not saying that you're doing this, but we have to remember that these are human beings with genuine emotion too, and so they're not buying this stuff to waste money. They're buying this stuff to get the good stuff, and not even to resell. Now I know a lot of it is resale, but a lot of them are genuinely happy to pull the big hit, regardless of the money they spend. And I think they get lost because, like you said, when we struggle, through the week and we work our butts off and we reward ourselves with a hobby box or a blaster or buying a single off eBay or Twitter, that's a big deal to us. And when we see a person with, a lot more money than we do, or with a lot more money than we have, do that, we can't, it's on us that we take that excitement away from them because, like, well, I mean, yeah, of course you're rich, you can have everything you want, but there's still genuine excitement. It's why we all do this. It's why we rip packs. We rip packs for the excitement. We rip packs because we want to get the biggest hit possible to show off to our friends, to, to pay off a bill. I know that sounds terrible, but, I know there are people that are ripping Prism in hopes of a Zion Silver so they can pay off debt. And that's backwards thinking. That is not financially smart, but people do it because it's like a lottery ticket. But we all do it for the same reason. We genuinely love it, and we have a genuine interest in our happiness, and pulling something great contributes to that happiness. So I agree with what you're saying wholeheartedly. I just want those that aren't as willing to accept those influencers in the hobby to kind of just open your eyes and your heart and realize that they have the heart for the hobby like we do too. And they love this hobby like we do too. And when more baseball players retire, we're going to see more baseball players in here collecting. We know there's an active group of active baseball players that collect now. And it's going to be a bigger thing because they've seen the success of Phil Hughes. So we need to be ready for it anyway. But, sharing their joy, I'm sharing everybody's joy, especially if I know you. You pull something huge, I'm sharing in your joy. I'm letting you know that I'm super excited for you. And the same could be for influencers that do not care about me at all and don't know me at all. I share in their joy because we're a hobby, we're a family, we're outsiders in an inside only club. So just remember that. Anybody that may be on the edge that are teetering. So
I think the big thing too, and I'm kind of just seeing some comments and stuff, I think the big thing too, where maybe more of the issue with some people would lie with some of these influencers is, if they're showing more of a side of investment over hobby or hobby love. And and like you said, like
Yeah.
we all hope, like we're not buying. I would hope most of us aren't buying these cards and buying a box, like thinking, you know, oh, well, I'm buying this because I know that I'm going to hit this and I know that I'm going to be able to turn around and flip it. Like you said, I think we all hope that we can hit a Zion or something, and if we don't PC him, yeah, we can help pay off some debt. I think the way you say that, that's perfect, because you're not really looking at it as an investment or a flip, and you're not necessarily going to be flipping all your cards. Just
Right.
like with me, like I encourage people in my live streams. I brought this up before. I encourage people to not sit on cards you don't collect, you don't PC. Don't sit on them too long, but
Right.
just get rid of them at a good price. You don't have to, like, go look at what comps are, and if it's a $50 card, sell it for 30, $35.
Yeah.
Just try to move it, because the longer you're sitting on it, the more space it's taking up. It's going to sit there longer. Then you can reinvest all that money back to the hobby to spend for whatever cards you want to get towards your PC. Buying PC singles, buying more boxes to try to pull PC cards, and maybe possibly get a shot at a big Zion, like you said before. But ultimately, I guess that's really the big thing that I think some people see it as, like, oh, these companies are paying these guys,
Mm.
X amount of money, and they're building these sets, and that's why these guys are acting or showing. And not saying they are acting, but I'm saying that's where some people would say maybe they're acting like, well, that they're acting like they love the hobby because they're getting paid by these companies. But I think at the end of the day, like you said, they've all had a love for cards when they were younger. They all probably had a gap and a break like most of us have. And shout out to anybody out there who's watching this right now, watching this later, that's our age and that started at a young age and stayed with it
Yeah.
through up till now. Man, shout out to you. I wish I would have done that. I'm sure you wish you would have.
Yeah.
But it's just not typically, we get in and out of things over a course of time. We get uninterested for a while, especially the times we had to go through with the whole junk wax era,
Mm.
and whatnot. And we're getting close on an hour here, but I'm gonna. I guess I wanna have a take on you. I got to meet you at the National last year.
Yes.
What, I guess, just an overall experience of the National for yourself, and do you feel it's something that if you're part of a hobby that you really should try to attend, or you should try to get to?
Yeah. So last year was my first national, and I don't think if I didn't develop relationships on Twitter, I would have gone. And it's as a standalone thing, it's amazing in its own right. But it was the opportunity to meet so many different people and get to interact with them and get to know them on not on a personal level per se, because you don't really have that much time, but just putting more than just a picture to a name. I put a face to a name. I put a handshake to a name. A fist bump or whatever. So getting to meet you and Matt and Lance and Derek and Sean, and then of course Coker and that whole crew, Plow, Jimmy Gunn.
Shout
I
out
mean,
Dub.
yeah, just a slew of people, and getting to meet Brooker Jeff. Sorry, there's so many people. I'm sorry, Phantom on Twitter.
You're gonna miss some, man. It's all good. They know.
I am gonna miss them. I'm gonna feel bad about it if I don't. So, but with just Kedrick, Ben from Midwest, sing for sorry, just like gonna turn out to a shout out thing. So many people. If I missed you, I'll send you a quarter on PayPal or something. Just let me know. But there's so many amazing people. Well, I already met Webb. There's so many amazing people that's what makes this hobby great, and it's why I continue to go on Twitter every day. And it's why I was in Chicago. So if you've never been to a national, I really do encourage it. Take it all in. And just Eric from Fat Packs, when I did his podcast, he told me the first day, don't buy anything. Just take it all in. Just enjoy the moment, enjoy the atmosphere,
Great
meet the people,
advice.
and just meet the people. And so I did. I walked around. I met Dub Mentality, Joey. I met Chris Schneider. I met Ivan. They're all coming to me now. MB Break. I met all those wonderful people. I say MB Breaks. The only one that's not wonderful is Davey Hughes. He's terrible. I'm just kidding. He's a great guy. But you meet all these wonderful, interesting people, and you realize, like, man, we're all kind of the same. And some of us are born givers, and some of us are born antagonists, and some of us are born whiners, and some of us are born, just great people, and some of us are born, whatever, blah. But we're all the same. We all have the same passion. We all have the same love for a hobby that has got us through tough times. It's got us through, you know, um, it's put a smile on our face one way or another. It's disappointed the heck out of us. The people in this hobby have disappointed the heck out of us. But we keep coming back, and there's a reason we keep coming back, and it's because we love it so much. And the national is just the big. It's our Super Bowl. It's why it's why we collect, and then we see it all come to fruition in this huge building, and have our minds blown by the amount of cards. And to go back to a question you asked earlier, that Atlantic City was sold out before the tables were sold out before Chicago was over. Hobby's fine. But go to national if you can afford it. Don't go in debt if you can't afford it. Go to national. Meet me. I'll shake your hand. I'll walk around with you. I'll talk to you. Meet Jeff. Meet everybody. Have fun. And just let loose and enjoy yourself, and realize that you are at the apex of your collecting journey when you get there. So if you're going to national this year, I'd love to meet you. Atlantic City, we'll be there. My wife and I will be there. Maybe the baby will be there. We'll see.
Nice.
I'd love to meet you. And if it's your first time, I'll buy you a card. There you go.
Awesome.
I can't do anything without giving something away. So if it's your first time at a national, you meet me, shake my hand, say it's my first time, I'll buy you a card.
Doesn't get much better than that, guys. If that doesn't give you incentive, I don't know what will, man. The man himself, the rack man, the giver, Tyler Murphy, joining us today on In Depth with Defness, the first actual episode. I know some people are saying a little bit with volume. I might have to figure out something. I think they could hear you, but we'll work it all out. I mean, it's only going to get better from here. Not as far as guests, but as far as how the smoothness of everything will flow and go. Tyler, is there anything else as we wrap this bad boy up? Is there anything else you would like to say, you would like to get out there? If any of you guys are wondering, he can shout out his socials as well, where you can find him on I got his Twitter and his YouTube channel below, so there's links for both of those, so you guys can find him. You can go follow him. You can go subscribe to his YouTube channel. Maybe that'll give him some more incentive in his YouTube side to get him out and doing more videos. So, but anything else you got for us tonight, Tyler?
So yeah, I will start doing more YouTube stuff. It'll be mainly music, some rips, some box rips, card pack rips, maybe some inspirational stuff. If you've enjoyed anything I've said today, I'll try not to be super monotonous and try to inspire you through the day. You do a great job with this, with inspiring people every day with your vlogs and your tweets and stuff like that. And so I encourage you to keep it up. I know you will. Anything whenever I finish a sermon or a message at church, it's just be loved and go be loved. And that's it. Just be loved, go be loved. It'll make your life a ton better. Just be loved, go be loved.
Awesome, man. Great final words from my man, Tyler Murphy. Again, if you guys don't know, if you're late to the party, if you have been under a rock for a while, my guest today was the OG himself, Tyler Murphy. It's been a pleasure to have you on, brother. I think we had a great time tonight. I think we touched on some good stuff. I think we really I think we really got to know you if anyone didn't know you. And even if someone maybe thought they knew you, I think they're going to know you a little better after this show. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you again. I want to thank my guest, Tyler Murphy. I want to thank all the viewers, everybody watching, whether you're a supporter from day one for me or Tyler, a supporter of both of ours. This is your first time on here. Come check us out. We're going to be doing this every Monday, probably at 6 p.m. Central Standard, unless time zones are funky for a guest, then we might adjust a little bit. But until next time, for Tyler Murphy, your boy Defness45, I want to just tell y'all to keep it positive, keep that hobby moving. It is not dead, fam, and we'll see you next time.